So now today we're here to talk about N8 and what the future of N8 is actually, because I was kind of skeptical when Eldar released everything out in June or July that the S3 is not working, the phone is this and that, and Nokia responded. I was kind of wondering that S3 is just like an extension of 360 version 5, and I've been working on that on and off. Like when I get the application with 60 version 5, I put my developer certificate on it, put them on S3, and everything is working. So is the backward compatibility or just a little bit different on S3 for N8?
On X?
S3, Symbian 3.
Okay, Symbian 3.
What I'm saying is that Symbian 3 is just an extension of Series 60 version 5. It's not something new which Nokia came up with, Symbian Foundation came up with. And that's what Eldar said earlier too. And I agreed with him at the time. I've still been working on it. Like some of the applications which are meant for Series 60 version 5 running on 97 Mini. I just port everything on N8 and it's working properly and without any hitches or any problems. So is Symbian 3 just an extension, or you have brought, I know you have brought in some 200 changes into it,
yeah, 250
but
features.
Still, why just simply jump to S4 and give us something new?
Well, I think Nokia already announced that actually there won't be a Symbian 4 per se. So what we're actually going to do is more like, natural steps all the way, rather than, when you had the binary break, because I think nobody actually likes those. So I think it's both for the consumers and for the developer especially. I think it's better when you actually don't have the binary breaks in the code when you develop, and I think that's what they try to do. I think if you still look to N8 and if you compare that, for instance, for the N97 Mini, I think you see quite a lot of changes in the UI. So I think at the same time you try to improve in quite a few areas, but you try to also stay, keep kind of the familiarity what we have. Because I mean, at the same time we have to remember there's so many Symbian users in the world, and you don't want to change everything upside down. So I think it's like the balance between those two. And I think, as we all know, next year when we have the first Migo phones coming out, then I think we're going to see something new.
So which way Nokia is going to take? Symbian Foundation is about nearly dead now. They just laid off 1,800 people. Nokia is taking over full Symbian. Will they be developing on Symbian or not, or is it going to go Migo all the way?
No, I think we have announced already a long time ago that Symbian will remain. But I think if you look at the whole portfolio, we have a devices selling from retailing from $30 to $800. So I think the fact is that you can't have the one operating system which covers all. If you look at the cars, the small BMW has the smaller engine than the 700 series, and I think the same applies to the phones. So I think we have the Series 40 for the entry, we have a Symbian for the mid-range, and then you have a Migo for the high-end.
So there will be developments in Symbian. There's future for Symbian still.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and there is not going to be any Symbian 4, so Symbian 3 is going to be the end for it.
Yeah, I think it's more like how they see that. So I think earlier how Symbian 4 was seen as said, it's kind of, how would you say it, like a big jump in the code. So I think what actually, if you think from the consumer perspective, like, I don't know how it's going to be, but for instance, one could expect that maybe all the coming version of the Symbian will also work in N8. So I think actually for the consumer it's better, because if you go to the Symbian 4, then for sure, because the binary break, it will work in N8. Okay. So I think it's better to have like a small steps rather than the big ones every now and then.
So in the future we should expect only Migo coming out for N series and nothing else?
Well, I think officially what Anssi said last month was that it's not totally excluded that there won't be N-series Symbian devices, but I guess most of the N-series at least will be in the MIG platform naturally.
Okay, just a question, and this is regarding your comment that you said, okay, one OS cannot cover the entire range of phones. Android seems to be working its way up. We've already had the first Android phone in Pakistan being launched by one of the carriers here, which is not exactly in the feature phone set. It's not hitting the lower end, definitely. But again, it's very, very comparatively priced. It's around $200, which is a decent mid-range phone. If the Chinese take over, like they are taking over at the lower end of the segment, which is where Nokia is the strongest, Nokia certainly is going to find itself in a very precarious position where you've got the OS X and the Androids battling itself for the smartphone market, well, the lower end is covered by the Chinese phones and the web rootkits, and I think Chinese are working on another operating system. So how is Nokia going to balance that with MeeGo or with Symbian? I mean, you're getting hammered at both ends. And again, not to run down anything, like I said, I love Nokia phones. I've been a Nokia user for about 10 years now. But at the end of the day, more and more of the feature sets which are coming out, especially even in the mid-range phones, are easily competing against Nokia's top-end phones. So how do you see the market shaping up over there? How do you see Nokia battling itself to become number one again? It is number one, but like number one with the consumer again.
Yeah, I mean, kind of without taking too much glory away from the N8 and start to talk about MeeGo, because I think that's what we're gonna do next time when I'm here. I think, I mean, I seen something what's coming on there, and I think we're definitely coming back in the high end. So I have no doubt on that. If you look what we have offer in the mid range, and if you take the N8 as an example from there, I mean, now I have seen the first initial feedback what has come from all the markets where we already started selling the N8, and I think Pakistan will join that group, I think tomorrow, when we get the first devices here. So the feedback has been, I think, a little bit like you say, that a little bit skeptical first, but once the people actually have got their hands on the N8, they have been really amazed. And I think one comment what has really delighted me is that I have got a lot of questions, like we have a Tritex last week in Dubai from the consumers that, you know, why it's so cheap? Is there something wrong on that? And then they actually start to use it. It's really amazingly affordable device for that price. So I think that's been one part. Then the other part, of course, what we can't forget is that now we're just talking about the operating system. And then, of course, if you look at all the services offering what we have, you know, take your iPhone or take your BlackBerry and then look, for instance, on the navigation side. I think, you know, there's still quite a lot for them to do actually in that area. So and that's just, you know, one of the examples. The markets where you have the music store working, so that's definitely another. So I think it's not only, you know, the competition on the operating system, but it's also what you know, all the rest, like the services offering what we have there. And I mean, as of now, we still see that, you know, Symbian is and will remain by far the biggest single operating system. So I'm not so doubtful. When I look now actually at the new offer, I think if you would have asked the question like half a year ago before launching the N8 and before starting to MeeGo, I think, you know, it would have been much more difficult to justify the future. But now I think it looks pretty bright, especially now after seeing the first consumer feedback on the initial devices.
Given the price point of the N8, I think it's about 40,000 rupees.
It's about 44,500 rupees.
Yeah, 44,000 rupees. Okay,
and then of course, I mean, that's just the one device, and I think just a few weeks after we're going to have the C7, which, you know, takes another $100 down from the price with the same operating system. Then you have C6 coming again, even more affordable, and then you have the E7 coming. More business up. So we don't have only one device, but we actually have the range coming with that. So it's not lying only on the shoulders of the N8.
What about the applications? Because like he's using Apple, I'm using Android, I'm also using a Nokia, I'm using iPod, everything there it is, because many things are applications. Besides blogging, I also run a small business and I need applications for that. When I come to Nokia, I'm just kind of stuck over there. There are no professional applications available. What about that?
Give me an example of what do you feel?
Like, I also work for a pharmaceutical company. I blog just for my passion. This is what I do for a living. So what I have on my iPod is specialized pharmaceutical software with complete drug data and all, which I can't find on Nokia. I can find it on my Android phone, but nowhere on a Nokia. So is Nokia working with developers, especially in the United States, to develop a specialized application? I don't want 100 fart applications. What I want is 5 applications with AutoCAD, which supports good video, support good picture editing, which give me medical information or things like that.
I mean, short answer is yes, but I actually want a little longer answer. so I think what you see there, and I think part of the fact is that if you look now what we just discussed earlier about not having separate Symbian 3 and Symbian 4, so kind of harmonizing more the platform thinking. What we actually have built on top of that is now the QT. So actually having a language which will support both on the Symbian side and from MeeGo side. So, you know, what people are now writing on the N8 will actually work, you know, next year on the coming MeeGo device. So I think that's one part of the story. That we definitely try to make the developer ecosystem more easy. I think they just announced announced in US the competition with one of the operators for the application developer.
Okay.
So we definitely, and I mean, if anything you hear now what the new CEO is saying is it's very US focused. So I think everyone has understood that that's where the trends come, even if of course our big portion of the consumers is another place, but setting the trends. So that's definitely also, I think, now in very focal area when we look at everything what we're doing. But I think everyone has also admitted that in the past we haven't been the easiest platform for the developers to develop. And of course, I mean, on the other hand, I think people are doing that for financial purposes. I mean, of course, you want to have also the become famous, but I think at the end, many people still want to have the financial benefits, and I think they are also adjusting now the ratios how the developer actually can also earn the money from that. On top of that, I think there's a lot of development now with the cooperation with the operators for the payment methods, because so far, we're pretty much relying on the credit cards, which of course haven't been so successful in especially in our area where people don't have so much credit cards. So the operator billing is coming more and more into many new markets and so on. So I think there's a lot of small things happening, but I think the breakthrough is still something to be seen now out of all these actions that has been taken. So I think we're going to see much more applications. I mean, already now you can actually find quite a few for N8, even if it's just launched shortly. And I think once we go to the Migo side, I mean we have the interesting things like the N900 in the past on Miami, and we decided not to have the Arabic UI on that. And I think it was just 2 or 3 weeks after we launched in Dubai, so someone has already written the Arabic keyboard for N900 actually that was available. So I think that comes also along with the popularity with the devices, and I think as what we see now with the N8 and the other new Symbian devices, I think the excitement is coming back, and I know once we're going to share more about the Migo devices, I mean there's going to be more excitement. So I think that will naturally then drive the developers also into develop more platforms.
What is the future of N900? Is it going to go anywhere, or just going to stay stagnant wherever it is right now?
I mean, N900, I think we have just shipped the last units, so
okay.
It's ramping now, and the new devices will be then based on Migo no more in Miami.
It was all the hype and everything which Nokia did on a 900 last year.
It's actually an extremely successful device. I remember when we actually started to develop the device, we had some numbers in the mind how many we could actually manufacture, and once we start to ship the device, actually we have to multiply the numbers quite a few times because the demand was simply there, and we were thinking it's a very niche device, but I think after a long time I haven't seen so much passion inside the company, because I think that's also a good test. I mean, it's sometimes I feel it's easier to excite the consumers than the people inside of the company. I mean, these buckets, they got whatever they want, and I think N900 was one of those devices, everyone was asking.